I have so much to say about this 1/3 scale statue of Syl from Species made by PCS. Oh, try saying that 5 times fast.
I have so much to say about this 1/3 scale statue of Syl from Species made by PCS.
Number 1, another horrible shipping situation from FedEx and PCS. I'll tell you about that in a second. Number 2, I wanted to compare her to this old statue from HCG. It's a 1/4 scale statue of this same character. But I have it in a box because I did a giveaway about 3 years ago, and Jerry Bourne won it, who's an avid follower of the channel, and all he had to do was contact me. And he's one of the 5 people in the statue community that actually have my cell phone number, but he still hasn't. So maybe I'll unbox it and do a comparison. And number 3, I'm drunk as fuck because the Broncos just won Week 18, number 1 seed in the AFC, and I just came from the game. Chances are, if you're tuning in because you like Species or statues, you don't give a shit about football. But other than Natasha Henstridge naked, that's pretty good too. Give it to you. Wait for you to get it on your own. Hey, thank you for tuning in to this review of this 1/3 scale statue from PCS or Premium Collectible, whatever the hell they call themselves now. I'm a big fan of PCS. I think they do a great job going after intellectual properties, just like Species and Syl that other people won't. And they're like 50-50. 50% of their products they come out with are a hit, 50% are a miss. And with this particular statue, as a spoiler for the upcoming review, 50% of it is a hit and 50% of it is a miss. But super stoked to have this. I loved this movie growing up. I remember sneaking into the theater because I wasn't 17 when it came out, and was wowed by the movie. Mostly because Natasha Henstridge, who signed this comic right here, she got all kinds of naked, and she was attractive, but, you know, I was a young teenage boy. But this is made by Giger, H.R. Giger, which, if that sounds familiar, he also created the Alien, which there's lots of aliens behind me. So, very famous creator of creatures, and PCS captured it really, really well. And as a disclaimer, so I got this statue a few days late because FedEx is a lazy piece of shit. Whenever they're going to deliver something from PCS to my address, they just delay it day after day after day, and I stay home day after day after day, and then they write, you weren't home for the delivery when I was sitting home all day. Again, it's a common reoccurrence that I actually talked about in this video right here about a turtle statue. But back to this statue right here. God, I can't even remember what the hell I was saying because I am pretty drunk. But super stoked to have the statue because I saw some video of it and I was like, oh my god, it is not very good. Other than this non-transformation portrait, I don't know what else to call it, it's pretty damn good. I'm very happy I have it. So let's talk about it. Let's kick it off. As you can see, there's a few different display options right here. Here's her actually fully transformed portrait. Let's actually switch those out now, because I'm going to be honest with you, this portrait up here is trash. It's really bad. The HCG one that I referred to in the video is better than this, and that's a very, very low bar. Oh, I'm going to have to stand up to do it. Shit. But then you can see my Broncos belt buckle. I got a belt buckle. I got a watch. I got a hat. I got a jersey. I got underwear. In my opinion, you have to wear at least 5 pieces of flair when you go to a professional game. All right, so we switched it out, which this is how I'll display her with this, and I'm going to put her in my aliens display with E.T., this statue right here, which seems weird, but I'm still going to do it. All right, let's talk about the concept. So you have a sub base below. I don't get what the sub base is. It looks like they just didn't know what to do, so they put it on there. It's fine. It's not horrible. It's not good. The paint and sculpt isn't the best on that. But then you have like a cocoon she's coming out of, which is directly from the movie, so I like it. Not only is the paint and sculpt a lot better, but I think it flows really well with the character and the concept. And as you move up, she's a model in a runway walk, which is such an interesting conversation about her because she was a very seductive female, yet she was a killer alien. So she kind of did all the above, and I think they captured that well with this walk that she has. And a lot of this statue is about the paint and sculpt, which we're going to do some close-up video on. But I really like it. You know, you wouldn't want too much of a dynamic pose, but this does have a little bit of motion to it, as you can see. So I think the concept is a really solid 4 out of 5. I think they did a nice job. Design, I would compliment them as well. There's a few things on the design I don't like, but it's actually accurate to the film, so it's smart that they did that. Before we dive into that a little bit, here's the unboxing and assembly. It was only one box, which is really nice for a 1/3 scale statue. And again, PCS has gone without the art boxes, and it was simply one layer you can see right here. All right, so let's measure her. She's 1/3 scale, meaning 3 times smaller than a real life version. And what I like about her is her footprint's pretty small. It's about 13 inches wide. Depth is even less than that. You're talking less than 12 inches. You can always check out their website, collectpcs.com, for exact dimensions. And height is just under 27 inches with this portrait, because the version I bought, the exclusive, she has 2 portraits. First is the fully alien portrait that we didn't really see until the end of the movie. We saw it in a few screen flashes. And then you have Natasha Henstridge's portrait if you bought the exclusive, which we'll talk a little bit more about. And as you can see right here, and we'll detail it in paint and sculpt, it's kind of trash in my opinion. They got the likeness, but it looks too doll-like, too fake, too not $1,500 worth, which is how much this cost. Also comes with an optional nameplate, which I put right back in the box because I hate nameplates. Those are the only display options. Another negative I'm going to give it is a lot of different pieces you saw in the unboxing. So let me do some quick math here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. You have about 26 pieces, no instructions. I was able to figure it out drunk, so maybe you don't need instructions. And I don't like a lot of the additions, specifically some of these things that attach to the arms and the legs. But again, that's screen accurate, so they had to do that for licensing purposes. But I think it would have been better without. So I think it doesn't take up a lot of room, which is great. I think it's scaled correctly. The switch out is kind of trash, and you didn't have to get this switch out by any means. I think it was the same price if you got the exclusive. But everything works, so I can't discount them for that. So 4 out of 5 on the design, as much as it pains me to say. Paint and sculpt is kind of interesting because, as I said, the alternate portrait is trash. The sub base, I wouldn't call it trash, but it's not as good. But everything above that is really nice, especially them modeling the Giger design here. I love the translucency that you're going to see in the video here. And just look at it. Yeah, just go. I'm really drunk and my voice is almost out because you got to scream when your team that you've been following for years is the #1 seed in the AFC, baby. I know you don't care, but I do. All right, let's start on the alternate portrait. So as you can see, the likeness is pretty decent, actually. You can clearly tell it's Natasha Henstridge. But when you look really close, this looks like a doll, a painted doll. Very mediocre. Reminds me of that HCG we talked about, the Hollywood Collectible Group. Reminds me of just something very cheap and plasticky that you would get, which is such a shame. You know, I feel like PCS, who makes this, they're really good with creatures, but humans, they kind of miss sometimes. This is a big miss. Not only on the bland paint on her face, but look at her hair. It's, you know, there's no individual strands, kind of just globbed together. Kind of an afterthought, I feel like this portrait is, which makes sense because the other portrait I think is phenomenal. It has kind of that translucent resin just like it did in the movie, and You know, Giger is a master with design. This is freaky and very realistic. I know in some of the pictures I posted online, people questioned it, but this is great. This is really, really nice in my opinion. And the rest of the body kind of follows this flow. The one thing that doesn't is the actual base, the sub base, if you will. Very mediocre with the paint. Like, what the hell is that additional black crap right there? What is that supposed to be? Means nothing to me. This matte black was a very poor choice when it comes to paint, in my opinion. Thankfully, it's such a small part of the statue, it doesn't take away too much. As you move up, the tendrils coming down, again, kind of mediocre, not too bad, but they're better than the basic black. By the way, one thing I didn't mention is how awesome it is to have an extra portrait display. I will probably always display this portrait on her and then this one below to kind of go with the slab. But then you get, they've kind of added the moist effect. So this is kind of the cocoon that she comes out of. Beautiful, in my opinion. I love the ridges and the different colors they used on the side and the inside. You know, you only see it for a brief second in the train on the movie, but I think they captured it really well in just the way it's kind of coming out, and she has that walk behind it. Then as you move up, the character itself, like I said, it has this semi-translucency that you kind of see added by the moist effect and the different muscles and bones below the alien creature, if you will. Look at these fingernails. Really well done. I was never a fan of the breasts on the character. Too sexualized, I get it. I mean, the whole movie, she's trying to mate and have children. But I think the glossy effect they gave it is fantastic. It really, really adds to it. Now, these additional pieces, these are resin, but they still look good because they have kind of that translucent glossy effect. I love the spikes on the back. You remember when she was finally mating with Dr. Octopus. Some of you will get that joke. Those were actually coming out of her back. They did a really nice job honoring Giger and the character. You can see kind of her rib bones right there. Yeah, this is done really nicely. I really appreciate the portrait, how it flows together, the cocoon. That other portrait, though, that just kills me. That's so bad. That and then the bottom of the base, they could have done much better. Thankfully, those are minor parts, especially if you're not going to display that portrait. On a side note, too, the one that came with that portrait was... they also gave you gloves and a nameplate. Here's actually what the nameplate looked like right here. Yeah. There you go. Paint, I'm going to give it a... I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 on the paint. I am really impressed, and that excludes the extra portrait here. Really, really nice. Sculpt, 4 out of 5. And that includes this portrait here, other than the hair that we talked about, because I think the likeness is really decent. Now, here's the thing about this kind of statue. Who would want something like this? You talk about value, you talk about supply, you talk about demand. So they made 200 of the exclusive, which includes the Natasha Henstridge portrait. And I believe they made 100 that don't include her, and it retailed at $1,500, which is about the average price for a 1/3 scale. This is a very rare property. I don't know if a lot of people know this movie. I saw the sequel multiple times. I've seen the original probably, 3 dozen times. 2.5 dozen was when I was, 12 years old. Some of you get that. I think there's a 3, which I've never seen. But it's a cool creature. It was a really, in my opinion, the movie had a great concept, had a great number of brief moments, although it kind of fell apart in certain places. But it's still entertaining to watch. And this is waitlisted, so that's an interesting fact. And because with a low edition size, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. 3 is a good score on this channel. I think that if I wanted to, I could make my money because there's a little bit of a cult following when it comes to Species, despite Natasha Henstridge, not being a huge A-list player in Hollywood. Although, because I think in this movie, her acting was very subpar. Better than I could do, of course. She's always been kind of a subpar actress, in my opinion. I think she was kind of hired for her assets, if you will. But again, she does better than I could do. Does this have the X factor? Does it meet expectations? This actually exceeds my expectations when I saw that video. Without the Natasha head, I know I keep referring to Natasha head. Maybe I just want her to give me head. Told you I'm drunk. But that'd be nice. That'd be really nice if I was single. I love my wife. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 overall. This is kind of a dark horse. I appreciate it. It's better than I thought it would be. I think it's going to look great with my slab. If you want to see what it looks like with the rest of my alien stuff, check out the Extreme Channel social media, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. It's amazing what muscle memory can do when you're drunk. And now I got to go because I have a flight to catch at 3 in the morning and it's late at night. So I'm going to get 4 hours of sleep because I'm going to edit this later. But you'll still see it at the same time because of movie magic. Did you ever see Species? Did you like it because it was a good story or because she got naked all the time? Throw that down in the comments below to win a statue. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Yes, we're still giving away $1,000 statues at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. You have to make sure you're subbed to the channel, you like the video, and then leave a comment. We're going to pick a random comment on a random video and give away those statues. In the meantime, check out some of these other videos and my social media. Talk to you soon. Take care.